Hi everyone, my name is Carmil Thelemarque. I am a senior IT engineer at Drata. I will be talking to you about GitOps and how we introduced it into IT operations. First, the kind of legal stuff. These words are my own and not the words of my employer. So anything I say here are just my, personal experiences and whatnot. All right, so a little bit about me, if you haven't got to meet me yet. I've been doing IT for about 10 years now. Um, I've worked in a few industries. I started out in higher education, moved over to MSP, and then eventually found my way in startups, which I consider my home now. Um, I'm also based out of San Diego, originally from New York. Moved to San Diego about 5 years ago, and haven't looked back. And it is as nice as they say it is. And then a little fun fact about me: my first time in a plane was when I went skydiving. So if that gives you any idea about my personality, you know. And then I also like to travel, running, board games. If anyone's a fan of Settlers Catan, and big on food. This picture right here is of me in Japan. We did like a go-kart tour through like Tokyo, which was pretty sweet. But yeah, that's it about me. All right, GitOps. Um, at its core, it's pretty straightforward. We're treating Git as a single source of truth for both infrastructure and application configurations. Think of it as like what your development team does. Someone, makes a pull request, people review it, merges, boom, changes. Um, so instead of like clicking around in the console, as we know as ClickOps, typically all your requests will go through a pull request, get them reviewed and merged, and it all auto updates the system. Excellent, right? And it's really about bringing those DevOps, DevSecOps practices into version control, peer review, and automated deployment. And now we all know that GitOps kind of built on infrastructure as code, which is the foundation that kind of makes everything possible. And it's just configuring servers, networks, databases through machine readable files, JSONs, YAMLs, you know it. And like the biggest win for infrastructure as code is kind of that repeatability. If you've done it once, you kind of do copy and paste and, make some minor changes and you can do it all over again. And you can do it hundreds of times over again. And then the other lovely thing about infrastructure as code, it is basically your documentation. There's no need to always go into the console and click around and go through different UIs to see how things are configured. So where we use it so far, right now we kind of use it for Cloudflare when it comes to DNS. Actually, pretty helpful in DNS. I don't know about you guys, but I think we have close to 100 domains. So lots to manage there, and each of those domains have a page and firewall rules, and we use it for zero trust as well, which manages like our Cloudflare Warp firewall rules. We use it pretty heavily in Okta as well. Okta kind of is our source of truth for everything. So we use it for group roles. Those group roles kind of manage access to different apps in Okta and downstream into all of our other apps. And then we also use it in AWS as well. And for those, those are just kind of managing the policies of what people have access to in AWS. So it's a kind of a big win for us. So why GitOps? Why did we go down this path? I can give you a couple of reasons, kind of real world examples. From an auditability standpoint, I remember when I first started at this company, our CISO was like, how many people can make changes to, DNS without anyone, reviewing or have any oversight on it? It was quite a lot. So it allows us to audit that, and before anyone makes a change, it has to kind of go to a pull request and get reviewed by a few different teams before that happens. It's also great for rollbacks. Say we accidentally messed up on a group role with, expression language, and we assigned people access to an app and incur license costs, all the things, or gave people admin access where they shouldn't have it. And then another one is collaboration. So for AWS Identity Center, I'm not going to lie, I'm not the biggest AWS expert, so it's pretty helpful to have it in version control where, our DevOps team or security team can give me some insight on if I'm being too permissive or, And our compliance team, they love it because when they go to auditors, they're like, hey, how are you guys managing changes? And it's like, oh, here it is, all in version control. So what our setup actually looks like, kind of three main components. Kind of starts with the developer. We use GitHub as our version control. This is where all of our infrastructure code lives. Next, we kind of have Atlantis, which we use for automation engine. So when someone submits a pull request, it automatically goes into that pull request, runs a plan, and everyone can see the changes that are being planned to be made. And then alongside that, we use SOPs for managing secrets, which is the great thing about SOPs is that now our API keys are now all over version control, so we can see when someone makes changes to an API key versus just popping it into a UI and really not having any oversight on that. And then downstream, then the changes go into the application. All right, so the positive outcomes of us implementing this. Obviously made things more transparent, fostering like cross-team collaboration, accountability, and alignment of how we wanted things to be organized within our organization. To be honest, it was not all sunshine and rainbows. I will tell you that the people on our ops teams did not like me for a little bit because they were like, hey, I could just go into UI and make this change right away. And, telling them that they have to now go learn how to make a pull request and get it reviewed by other people and having to wait to make that change where that single click could have happened in, under a minute. And change is really hard, especially when this is fairly new to them. So that was one of the biggest things. And then communication documentation was everything. We kind of started off small with them. We kind of only allowed them to make changes through the GitHub UI versus having them set up an IDE and going through terminal and all that, which they're not, very familiar with. And as you know, like the technical part is pretty easy, but it's just spending the time with the people so they can, fully understand it. But yeah, a little more on the what we learned. Yeah. And as you can see, like that's kind of like our daily, like, oh, I clicked and it's like, why didn't that go through version control? And as you know, there's drift detection, so like people can only hide for so long. But yeah, it was a work in progress, but things worked out in the end. And that is about it. Yeah, thank you everyone for giving me a chance to talk.